Going to check in again in Nashville with Clare Cunningham. A few weeks ago, just after Christmas, I think it was, we spoke to Clare. You'll remember she's the singer and songwriter from Ireland who moved over here to Sweden, played with a hard rock band, had great success. And then she said, no, this is not for me. I'm heading to America. I'm a go west young woman, as they would have said. Headed to Nashville, right? The centre, the mecca, if you like, for music and for songwriting in America. And she said, if I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. And ladies and gentlemen, make it she has. On St. Patrick's weekend there recently, she finally got, not finally, because this girl is making big breakthroughs all the time, but she got a huge breakthrough when she was asked to perform at the Grand Ole Opry. And for anybody who's involved in music, not just country music, but in music or songwriting or anything else like that, it's a huge opportunity. It's a huge honour to be asked to play there. And of course, Clare was given that honour on St. Patrick's weekend. Not only that, she got to meet her idol Garth Brooks, and she appeared a few years ago in an RTE documentary talking about how great he was. Got to meet him, having the chats with Garth. And she also got to play with Steve Earle, who is, lads, I'm just unbelievably jealous. And I texted her as soon as I heard how jealous I was, because Steve is what he calls it, I think the nickname he used to have was the hardcore troubadour. This is a man who's been addicted to everything under the sun, but now sober, but an absolutely brilliant writer and songwriter and musician and collector of stories and songs. And for me with Clare, it's like that story about the golfer Gary Player. There was a journalist once said to him, you seem to have very good luck at the moment. And he said, yeah, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And that's Clare Cunningham, because you can look at her in the circle of light on the stage in the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville and think, oh yeah, that young one's very lucky. I'll tell you what, if you only knew the amount of work that went into getting Clare onto the stage there at the Grand Ole Opry, you wouldn't be thinking she's lucky at all. You'd be thinking this is the most well-deserved thing. So I gave her a call the other day on WhatsApp, because we just had to have a little chat about this. And sure, here it is. Enjoy, and I'll be back in a little while with Ronan Sheehan. Clare Cunningham, of all the people I know, all the Irish people I know all over the world, I think you had the best St. Patrick's weekend of everybody. Can you tell me how you ended up playing in the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville this weekend?
Well, hello, yes, and absolutely, I would agree with you. It was definitely the best weekend and best night in my life. So actually, as it happens, Brenda Willis, who runs the Irish Music City Fest, had been looking at doing it again after the pandemic. And she actually didn't have any venue secured. They had all the sponsorships and different things and that and the other. And then it just literally came as I want to say, a godly intervention, that the Opry was free and open and they partnered up. And then she got to do the Music City Irish Fest out in the plaza, where they flew over a lot of Irish musicians, had all the dancing, had all the tents set up. And then I was asked if I would like to do a debut in the Opry as well for the night time. So I couldn't believe it when she kind of said it to me at first. So all the dreams have come true now.
Can you explain to people, there can hardly be anybody listening to this who doesn't understand the significance of the Grand Ole Opry in songwriting and in country music, but when you moved there specifically to Nashville, this was always one of the goals, wasn't it, to stand in that circle of light on that stage?
Like, I wasn't even lying when I had, like, I don't do these vision or dream boards anymore. I have a different way of living now, but years, I mean a good, like 7-8 years ago, I had a dream board with the Grand Ole Opry right stuck in the middle of it. And I think it's there's not a single person that's either in country music or outside, because, I'm not really a country music, artist. And I never thought something like that would ever come into reality for me because of that. But it literally has been a lifelong dream. You see it, you hear about it, and especially, I don't think people realize that Irish people have such a correlation with country music, because we really do. We have our own scene, and Nashville is just one of those prevalent places that, you know, that is always on the bucket list for people to even go and visit. So to actually go and be a part of one of the most prestigious venues, in my mind, you know, it's truly wonderful, really, seriously.
Yeah. I always thought of country music as just being Irish ballads with better hats, but there you go. That's my own sort of ignorant view of these things, you know. Come here to me. I saw, like, and again, because, you know, I've been following you on Instagram for years since you lived in Sweden here and that, and I saw the pictures and I was just blown away by it. When you got there on the day, right, because you were also, we get onto the fact that you ended up singing with Steve Earle, who, of course, a brilliant country musician, but has also made an album with the Pogues. They appeared in a lot of tracks on Copperhead Road. He's written a brilliant book of short stories called Doghouse Roses, really intelligent and talented man. What was it like when you arrived there? Because, you know, you arrived there to, like, do they sort of treat you like a superstar straight away, or is it, oh, there you go, there's a bathroom, get in there and get changed, girl?
No, it's insane. I've never felt more looked after in my entire career. From the second that you literally, so in normal circumstances, right, you wouldn't be playing a plaza outside before, but because of the Music City Irish Fest, I was. So what they did then, they assign you to your own dressing room. But prior to getting into that, they took me straight off the stage from outdoors, and then took me round in a cart, which is why I didn't park around where I was meant to park. Every artist has their own parking spot reserved for the day. And so I didn't know that. So when I got around, then, you know, I had my photographer and video guy, and you get the shots underneath the artist entrance, and then you walk in and you're greeted by one of the personnel who checks ID. So you're only allowed to get in that way if you're an artist or you're on the working crew list. From that second on, there's a lady who shows you to your room, gets you whatever, you know, little drinks or snacks and whatnot. And from that moment on, you're literally, like, there's personnel coming in to grab you for sound checks, for little, you know, social post stuff. But I mean, like, down to the sound guys, like, they take your instrument for you. They set everything up for you. Like, unbelievable treatment. And then, because it was my debut, a beautiful gentleman of a staff member realised that I didn't park in my spot and went out and unscrewed the metal plate and took it into me, gifted me the poster as well and some booklets and the little sheet of paper that the host had asked me interviews. Like, he collected it all for me and handed it to me personally at my dressing room then. Tremendous. So I mean, it's just, yeah, it is. And you know, I've heard in the past from other artists that I know and from other people who played there that it's just, it really true. There's something so magic and special about the way it runs and the staff, and I can totally attest to that now. Like, they just, you are like pure little royalty to them, and it's just so humbling and just beautiful.
Does that make you more nervous? Because let's face it, Claire, you've done thousands, if not tens of thousands of shows in your life now, right? But you're standing there in your beautiful green dress, your guitar's there, it's all tuned, it's all ready to go, and then you're going out on the stage. Was that the most nervous you've ever been? Or was this just, you know, the Clare Cunningham that we all know and love from seeing in bars all over Sweden and Ireland and America?
Yeah, it's funny because Garth Brooks actually asked me the same question.
I'm in good company.
And I'm not even kidding you. He was like, "Were you nervous?" And I said, "You know what? I'm going to be totally honest. I really wasn't nervous. I just had a little more excitement in me than maybe the average day. So I was not nervous only because playing in front of crowds is not an issue for me. My biggest concern was just being able to walk on stage in the heels and the dress, and then just for it to all go okay, you know, because I've done that song so many times that I'm so comfortable with it. But I definitely had, like, there was a little bit of nerves, but healthy nerves, like not like, oh my God, I'm going to die right now, you know, that kind of way. So yeah, no, there definitely was more than just my average kind of, show.
Yeah. No, because I watched the clip there that you put up, and you walked out there and you were sort of joking about, somebody I think was making a comment on your appearance and you being in America, and you were going, okay, if you want to marry me, I'll get a green card out of it, kind of thing. So you seemed really relaxed getting up there.
Yeah, well, what happened was, and I thank God they shouted that, because my pedal that I was using wasn't where I needed it to be for my foot to use it. So then I had to pull it in closer. When I pulled it in closer, the power cord came out.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's why you see me fidget. So not only is this the biggest moment of my life, then that had to happen. And then I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God. In my brain, my brain is screaming at me. So somebody, thank God, in the audience shouted, marry me. So as soon as I got back up from fixing the pedal, I said, well, if you've got a green card, then yeah.
It really broke the ice.
Loosened up.
If you've got a green card, then yes.
Yeah, it definitely did, because there was, in my mind, that felt like an eternity what was going on, but in reality it wasn't. But it was just one of them things, true Clare fashion, So but no, I was very, very comfortable. I think I can definitely hear it in my voice in the first kind of few lines that I am a little like, ooh.
Yeah.
Because it is only that one shot, really, like if normally I could sing for hours and it'd be grand, but like it was, and I forgot that I didn't even plan to speak. Yeah. I didn't, with everything that was going on, I didn't even for a second think, oh my God, I need to actually introduce myself and the song. And I didn't even think about doing that. So that was totally off the cuff as well, along with the interview at the end. I was like, oh my God.
Oh shit, I have to speak now as well. It was... But it was an incredible performance. And like I say, Éireann Ní Mocraí is a song that you've written and you performed it everywhere, all over America, so you're really comfortable with it. When you step off stage after something like that, Clare, there's often a thing, I find when I come home from the Olympics or the World Cup, that there's a little bit of deflation there, but you walked straight into meeting Garth Brooks and then performing again later on with Steve Earle, so the day just got better for you. What was Garth Brooks doing there?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not even kidding you. So, and this was another one of those moments where 3 months ago, when Brenda, who was organising the whole thing, actually messaged me and said, listen, here's a list of all the Opry members. There is the chance that we can put in a request for you to maybe sing with one of them, but I can't guarantee it. So I said, well, sure, I don't even have to look. I'd like Garth Brooks. He's like my childhood idol. And I said, but not to say that, and in the messages, you can see it, like Steve Earle, Vince Gill, or somebody else would be really cool too. Yeah. So I thought nothing more of that, because I didn't hear back. And it was 4 days or 3 days till the actual date. And I got a text message from Brenda going, I have news. And then she said, Steve Earle has rearranged his schedule to make it for the night, and he'd love you to sing Galway Girl with him. And I was like, yeah, let me think about that. Sure, yeah. Of course.
I made up my mind, absolutely.
You don't have to ask me twice.
Exactly.
Wild.
and did you now? The only thing I haven't seen from your performance was that performance of Galway Girl. Was that with a full band, or was it just yourself and Steve, or how was that?
Yeah, it's actually, so I think I just did that one last night. I don't have the full footage. I'm trying to get it off them, but a few friends got some clips there. It is, so the Opry have their own band.
Yeah, the house band.
And the house band, exactly. And so we played it with them. And so it was magnificent. But then the whole thing with Garth was, so nobody had any idea that he was there, not even Brenda.
Yeah.
So the only person that knew was Lauren Elena, the last artist of the night. And word had it, I was still in my dressing room and I felt the urge, can't even talk, the urge to go out on the side of the stage to watch Lauren's performance. And somebody said there's a surprise guest apparently coming on. And I look over and I see the cowboy hat, right? And I'm like, oh. And it's dark side stage. And then somebody says, oh, it's Garth Brooks. And I thought they were joking.
Yeah, somebody's winding me up
and
here.
And then literally, because of what had gone down like 3 months before.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, it's Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood. And he's standing right beside me. And I'm like, do I say something or not? And then, so he takes off his hat. Somebody was introducing people. And then he goes, hello, Miss Clare. Where are you from? And like, because I'm so used to dealing with everybody here, I'm like, oh, I'm from Ireland. And he goes, I know that, Miss Clare. Where in Ireland? And then I was like, oh my God. But we had a good chat, and then he literally was like, so yeah, were you nervous? And then he said, because I'm a little bit nervous now, like going on. And I thought he was joking, but I don't think he was. So lovely, humble man. And Steve is beautiful as well. Oh my God, like I'm just, these are names that people know all over, but I'll tell you what, they're just so humble and kind. And that's what I love with any artist. Anyway, I'm we're of that kind of mindset, and I would be too. And it's just beautiful to know that, like, these guys they have it made, but they never lost their humbleness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can tell everybody about. Like, I sent you a text message saying how jealous I was of the idea that I was delighted for you, obviously, but just the thought of getting you getting to sit up there with Steve Earle and then Garth Brooks turning up. I mean, did you buy any lottery tickets on the way home or anything? Because by Jesus, girl, that must have been the luckiest night of your life. Like,
well, I'll tell you what, I couldn't be emotional because I literally hadn't the capacity. My body didn't have the capacity to take in what was happening. Not only that, but I had been, I was talking a lot to the other artists behind stage and stuff, and it kind of like one of those moments where you're like, this is real, but it feels like I'm never going to wake up from this. And then so I wake up the next morning and I just started crying uncontrollably. Like, I'm not even kidding. I think all the emotion of everything came into me. But you know what? I sat down and I thanked the Lord, because everything I've ever asked for that one night happened. And I think, and you'll all see it when I do post the actual footage, when the host actually says to me, well, God has a good sense of humor. I think they knew, because they got the documentary I was in Ireland. They knew Garth was going to be there, and they didn't know that I knew. Yeah. So I think it was just they were kind of like, oh yeah.
A very subtle hint there altogether, yeah. Because you appeared in a documentary talking about Garth Brooks and how much, how big a fan you were and that kind of thing, Come here to me.
I was on my first hamster, Garth.
Did you tell him that as well? I say he loved that,
When anybody asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I was like, I want to be a rock star. So it's something that really heavily kind of was bestowed upon me, and it was just something I knew it was the only thing I ever wanted to do. So when people ask me who my influences are, like Garth Brooks was somebody like, I grew up on him, and I even called like my first hamster Garth after Garth Brooks, because again, you could feel connected to him, even though he was from a different country, a different era, whatever. It was just like you always felt like you could connect with every single song he nearly put out there.
But listen, when those tears came, Claire, right? I just wanted to ask you, were they tears of joy, or were they tears because you think to yourself, Jesus, it's going to be so hard to top that?
No, it was pure joy. Because I know I'm never going to top that. There's nothing
I wouldn't put it
in
past
my
you.
life to come. Well, hey, maybe an arena. But you know what? Here's the difference, right? So I could do a bigger venue. Say if I were to play in an arena somewhere, nothing is ever going to compare to the personable like night that ended up being, from the from the second I walked in, from the way I was treated to all the like they make such a big deal out of it for you that it's a combination of the entire night in its entirety rather than just the performance. It's everything that surrounded it. And then from my childhood hero to show up, like, I'm sorry. And no, that nothing, I've now said it, it's been the best night of my entire life. And I've lived longer than some people think. So I'd be hard pressed for anything to come very close to it. Yeah. But, it was tears of pure joy. And I know from doing big events and from doing things that sometimes there is a deflation afterwards and that once the high ends, but I can only be grateful for what I've just experienced. I'll never allow anything to, because I went straight back to quote unquote normal life after, but I don't think things will be normal. I think I've got a new, like, just fire in me or something,
Does that change, appearing at the Grand Ole Opry, being on stage with Steve Earle, having a few words with Trisha Yearwood and with Garth Brooks, does that change your status in Nashville as a professional musician, as a professional songwriter? Do you think this will open doors for you, or do you think you're kind of going to have to just go back and keep practicing your craft? I know you were in the studio were you in the studio again yesterday already, weren't you? So that's only a couple of days afterwards and you're straight back to the grind kind of thing. But do you think it'll make a difference?
2 days after. I think it'll give me leverage to continue on to the next step. That's what I think it'll do. Because now I'm looking for a team. Like, I can't no longer do this myself. Like, I'm past the point of being able to run my brand to the best of my abilities. Like, I'm trying, but I'm really stretched thin. And even the Opry couldn't believe that it was me they were dealing with and not, they kept going, and have somebody on your team contact us. I was like, you're talking to her. Yeah,
you're talking to the whole like, social media manager, the whole lot.
And I'm like, no, it's just me, myself and I. And I don't think people realize how many hats I kind of wear, which I'm absolutely fine doing that. But I think the next step will be, as with anything in life, I'm human and so is everybody else. I'm not going to allow that to tear, anything I do. But I think it'll just give me a bit more leverage for maybe possibly getting like you're just taken maybe a little more seriously than if, like, it's not that, because talent will get you so far, but credentials to an unknown person when they're reading a bio, it'll be like, oh, she's done the Opry, well then let's maybe check it out rather than, you know what I mean? So it's an unfortunate way that this life runs, but I think that's with everything, with whatever profession. It's like they want to know what experience, who you've sang with. Like, if I have quotes by artists, like, you're just taken a little more seriously, I think.
I mean, it's a shame, but in a way, that's how people put you in context, I mean, the people that I've worked for in journalism, and if I say, I've been on the BBC and I've worked for the Reuters News, everybody goes, they take you, it doesn't matter that you're some spoofer from the north side of Dublin, they still take you more seriously just because, now, not that you're a spoofer, Claire, I'm saying that's regarding me.
No, but I totally know what you mean.
But what's the next step now for you? Because you walk away from that, and it's lovely to hear that you have that attitude that, despite being among the stars over the weekend, that your feet are still on the ground. But have you got a concrete, is the next thing to sort of maybe find some sort of representation so that you can stick to what you're good at, writing the songs, performing, doing these partnerships, and then maybe get somebody else, involved in the sales side? That's the next thing, is it?
Yeah, I desperately just need somebody who can manage, and maybe like touring agent, booking agent, that kind of thing. Because like I've got all the social stuff down, and as best I can, I'm doing every single email and replies and stuff. But yes, I think that's really the next step forward, is to just get somebody who has a foot in the door better, like some just management tour stuff. And I am in talks with some certain few people, so it will happen. But for me, it's very much a trust issue with me a lot, because when you're handing, like, I am the brand and I am my business and it's my baby, and I don't do this for money. So if you're coming in and wanting to, change what's going on just to get more money, that's not really why I do what I do. And so it'll have to be somebody who really wants to like develop my art, and I'm not going to sell out to sell out.
Yeah.
So I will always remain intact that my music has a message, and it may not be to everybody's taste what I talk about and what I sing about, but I have to stay true to what I know feels good, and it's not selling out, you know, just writing for the sake of writing. It has to, I want to help people. Like my music, I want to make an impact. So yeah, so, but I believe it will happen when it needs to, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, ever since the time we first got to know each other, when you first moved over here to Sweden and you were playing with the rock band Thunder Mother, and you've taken control of your own career, and it's just, you know, to see somebody realising their dreams, and it's not through somebody just picking your, like, it's not Charlie and the Chocolate Factory here where somebody just pulled your name out of a hat.
Right.
This is hard work, girl, and I'm delighted to see it paying off, and I hope that in a couple of weeks' time, or a couple of months' time, that we'll be talking about the next thing that Clare Cunningham has achieved over there. But for now, Clare, thanks so much for talking to me this evening.
Oh, listen, thank you so much. And I really, you know, I adore anybody who takes the time and gives a platform for me to ever, you know, show this evolution that's going on. And I'm just grateful to everybody who's continuing on this long and wild ride that I am on, because it's,
Well, you know what they say,
certainly a great one.
good people deserve good things, and you're the best people, Clare.
Oh, well, you are too. You know, you give us this platform, and you're out there helping others. So, you know, it takes one to know one.
Exactly. Thanks very much.
Thanks a million, Philip. You're an absolute star. You're a maga.
Agus tá fáilte rót.